Daryl Ruiter joins us right now. It's brought to you by Shadore Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Hello, Daryl. Coming in hot, coming up at 9:45. Of course, Daryl's always coming in hot at 8:20 on a Friday. Daryl, what do you think of the Browns' record? What's the Browns' record now? I said 7-10. Lima said 6-11. What say you, dangerous one?
I went 8-9.
Wow. Why 8-9? You did one better than me, two better than Lima. Go ahead.
I actually had to stop my enthusiasm last night when we played the schedule game because I flopped on 6 games. But, it's an interesting layout for sure, especially early on with all the road games that they're going to play. And then they have that stretch November 15th to mid-December there where they're home for 5 consecutive weeks, 4 straight home games, and then their bye week before 3 or 4 on the road to wrap things up. So not a balanced schedule from, I guess, a travel standpoint, but the sunny side of that is they have the second fewest travel miles this coming season in the NFL. So other than the 2 trips to Florida, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay among their longest road trips of the year. But, yeah, I look at the schedule and I just feel like there are a lot of winnable games on this thing.
I totally agree with you. I absolutely totally agree with you. Like I saw some people like like Hayden Grove had said 2-15, and he was like dead serious.
Yeah.
And I said, I think you're wishing. I just think maybe you just don't like the quarterback room. You don't have faith in any of them.
Right.
But I think this is probably with this schedule, and it might be, as Lima says, there's definitely teams that get close to the playoffs that aren't that good, or they get into the playoffs and they're not that good. Maybe it's a fake 500. Maybe it's a benefit of the schedule. I don't think it's going to be that crazy.
Right.
But I think that people who want to lose to get a quarterback in 2027, I don't think they're going to get their wish, man.
No, I don't either. And I actually had to talk myself down to 8-9. Like I said, I got a little over enthused early in the season there, and then I realized, okay, they're not a playoff team. I don't think they're going to have double-digit wins, so I ended up putting a couple of losses in there for the sake of putting some losses in there. But, yeah, I just I think they can split the first 2 games, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, flip a coin which one you want to take. I said they'd win week 1. Carolina's, I know they're coming off that playoff season, in air quotes, at 8-9, but I still don't think that they're all that great. I think they can beat the Steelers. The Jets, they should have beaten them last year. They will beat them this year, I'm convinced of. Baltimore, Tennessee, things might be a little hairy there. I do believe they're going to they're going to sweep the Steelers this year for the first time in a very, very long time. Cincinnati, I think they'll split with them. And I put the Ravens down sweeping the Browns just again because I was piling up too many wins. I think Atlanta's beatable, even though I have them losing to Stefanski and the Falcons. But there's some winnable games on this schedule, Ken. I'm convinced of it.
So, Daryl, what are the national people getting wrong? What are you seeing that they're not seeing? The Athletic did an examination of all the rosters with their modeling. They have the Browns 29th. Vegas has them with the tied for the 4th worst Super Bowl odds. Win total has been anywhere in the neighborhood of 5.5 to 6.5. So why are you so high? Conversely, why are they so low?
Well, because, number one, I don't think that the Browns' opposition is that great, okay? I don't feel like this is murderer's row that they're facing. That's number one. Then number two, what the Browns have done this offseason. They rebuilt the offensive line. You've got 2 young wide receivers, and we're not talking 5th and 6th round wide receivers here. You're talking 2 of your first 3 draft picks in this draft class, wide receivers, Casey Concepcion, 24th overall, and then they added Denzel Boston. And maybe I'm overestimating the impact that those young men are going to have in that quarterback room. And yes, obviously, everything hinges on not only the decision they make as far as their starting quarterback, but also just the play at the position, what they're able to get from that position. That ultimately, I think, is going to determine whether or not this team pass, fails, flips, or flops here in 2026.
Dangerous Daryl Ruiter joining us on the show. Casey Concepcion, will he be signed by OTAs next week?
I'm not really worried about it, but he's going to be signed. He's the last guy standing. They got all these guys are in these salary slots. There's not a whole lot that you're really negotiating here, other than maybe some bonus payouts or how the guarantees are laid out or whatever. But I'm not the least bit worried about his contract.
Do you care that I got to ask the real things before we start to get into conspiracy about the video here? Because I agree with you, Daryl. I agree with you, but I got to get to the real stuff first.
Yeah.
A bunch of 1 o'clock games and then the 8:15. Does it bother you that there's a bunch of 1 o'clock games at all?
Hell no.
Now, why is that, Daryl?
It's all about me, Ken. It means I get to watch Sunday Night Football this year.
I never really watched Sunday Night Football, to be frank.
Well, you're also getting up at 2 in the morning.
I'm passing out by 7 o'clock.
Right. You're a little busy on Sundays there too, Ken.
That's what they say.
That's understandable. But yeah, I said this last night with Jake Volnick. This schedule does, to your point earlier about the Athletic and some of the national reads on this whole schedule and where the Browns might end up in 2026. Certainly, the NFL told you how they feel about the Cleveland Browns, right? 16 of the 17 games are 1 p.m. kickoffs. Your national television game is a Thursday night in October. However, let's remember, flex scheduling will begin starting in week 5, I should say. So the Browns could play themselves back into another primetime game, but they're going to have to earn that. And so, yeah, this schedule, all the 1 p.m. kickoffs on Sunday, which personally I love, that does tell you that there are very little expectations that the Browns are going to be a factor or a storyline league-wide in 2026.
Does it surprise you, though, given the fame and popularity of one of your quarterbacks that's going to be battling for a starting job, does it surprise you that they wouldn't be featured at least a few times or more prominently given the fact that he's a reality TV star?
No, because we don't know that he's going to start, number one. And number two, let's be real about it. There were just as many good moments as there were bad moments for him as a rookie.
Well, there were way more bad moments than good. I mean, he was ranked statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL, but
so there I get
what you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just not a lot of faith there right now. And again, they can play themselves into, onto national television if they, if they win a lot of games early. You're going to get a primetime game or two because that will become a story. But I think what the NFL is saying is to the Browns, if you want to be a story, you're going to have to earn it.
Daryl Ruiter joining us on the show. All right, so you believe that Shadore being featured prominently in the schedule release video means that they want him to win the job or that he's going to win the job? Let's be clear here. What do you think?
Well, I don't necessarily believe that. I would just say that I don't think it's an accident that he was in the video. Mm-hmm. He's a obviously more marketable than Deshaun is, more popular than Deshaun is certainly. But my whole point in saying that last night, Ken, was that, and you know this, you've been around, you've been in that building, you've actually been in parts of that building that I've not been in. They don't do anything over there by accident. Okay, they're everything is vetted top to bottom multiple times. And so I'm just saying that I don't believe in coincidences in this case. And that, the fact that he was prominently featured in that little Street Fighter video that they did to debut their schedule, it was the first thing I noticed when I watched it.
I thought the same thing. And I think that they want to market their team in the best way possible.
Yes.
And I don't think that this means he's going to win the job. I think that this means that, yes, they want him to, and certainly the ownership wants him to win the job. I think they're going to let Todd Monken make his decision.
Yep.
And whatever happens, happens. But I think there's no I think. I know they want him to win the job.
Yeah.
They want him to be the starter.
Yeah, and just because they want him to win the job does not mean he's actually going to win the job. Like, there's a difference there. I want a lot of things in life, right? I mean, so I just, like I said, when I watched that video last night, the first thing I did is I turned to Jake. I go, you aren't going to believe this, but you will believe it. Guess who's featured in the video rather prominently, and it is Shadore Sanders, who I believe is going to be wearing number 2 this year.
Well, Miles is too, and everybody said we should trade him, so I don't know what to make of that now.
Well, the Browns have been
pretty adamant they ain't trading him. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to trade him this year, but I would watch out for next year.
All right, Daryl, now there are people on this very station that will criticize you if you change your opinions on a series based on how you see the team play basketball during the series. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I think that's okay.
I don't understand how you needed to be criticized for saying that James Harden played like garbage in the first 2 games of the series when everybody knows that James Harden played like garbage in the first 2 games of the series. I'm just going to say, and I don't like to have these arguments too often, I don't think that is the champion's pose that somebody here thinks that is, but whatever.
Well, be that
I would call that just stating the obvious. That's just me, though.
Yeah, be that as it may, how much have you changed your tone? And like I've characterized it as a malaise in the city, and now I see the ticket prices for tonight, they've gone up like 250%. So given that, do you
think... Amazing what being able to clinch a trip to the conference finals does.
But
are
people buying in? Because to shell out that kind of money, they think it's going to happen tonight.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like it better happen tonight. But they better not have to go back to Detroit on Sunday, that's for sure, because I don't know that they're winning 2 road games, and I want to give them all their flowers, all their props. I mean, they have flipped this series on its head, considering how this thing started. It was very ugly up in Detroit. The first 2 games, very sloppy. Heck, even the other night it was pretty sloppy with the way they played in some stretches. I posted on X that they really picked a bad time to return to sloppy basketball there early in the fourth quarter. And it started, obviously, in the first quarter as well with the 6 turnovers they had right out of the gate before they kind of tightened things up a little bit. And it's amazing to me how they can magically tighten things up. And I guess that's what drives me nuts, Anthony, is because if you can tighten it up, then why don't you come out with it tightened up? You know what I'm saying? Like it really, because they're not playing to their potential. So I think they really got to get this thing done tonight. I think it was 2007 they fell down 0-2, won the next 4, whatever to advance. I know that they had another series where Detroit won the first 2, but then came back and won the last 2 in the series as well. Don't want that history to repeat itself. But, yeah, I kind of feel like tonight is the night. Cavaliers got to lock this thing down and set themselves up for a Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals Sunday at Madison Square Garden. But it starts with taking care of the basketball. To me, that is the story. I know we can talk about James Harden. We can talk about Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Max Strus with some key contributions on both ends of the floor, right? But to me, if the Cavaliers are going to win tonight, got to take care of the basketball. You cannot keep giving the Detroit Pistons all these extra possessions, which, by the way, they tend to turn into points. And when you're turning them over, there have been way too many empty possessions coming out of those turnovers for me. So for me, the number 1 key tonight, take care of the basketball.
Daryl, thank you very much for the time. We'll talk to you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too, guys.
The Dangerous One, Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.